Hey everybody, welcome back to another Jackson Jet Setting full ship tour, and I'm so excited to bring you live from the world's largest cruise ship, the Star of the Seas, a full tour top to bottom. We're starting at the Grove Suite Sun Deck, which is not the very highest deck on board, but we're going to start the tour here for kind of convenience sake. This is going to be the private sun deck for Star Class guests, so those are in the fancy suites. And so you're going to get a full buffet up here, as well as your own dining room that I'll show you in just a second. But this is one of the better exclusive suite sun decks that I have toured on any of the Royal Caribbean ships. They really figured out that the folks paying this much money really do want a ship within a ship. They want multiple hot tubs, they want great service, they want their own restaurants, and plenty of lounge chairs to enjoy the sunshine in the Caribbean. So the entrance to the Grove Sun Deck is on deck 18, and then it actually extends up to deck 19. Deck 20 on the ship is really going to be reserved for those water slides and sort of the highest adrenaline activities on board. There are a lot of them on Star of the Seas. I just was so impressed with the ship and how they've created neighborhoods to try and drift away a little bit from deck by deck and more. Here's where you need to hang out for your voyage if this is what you are looking for. So the suite guests naturally get the suite neighborhood as their neighborhood to hang out in all voyage if they want to. And of course, they can wander wherever in the ship they would like as well. So it wraps around completely here on this forward section of deck 19. So you can grab the food from the buffet downstairs, go and enjoy it up here. There's a bar downstairs, and if you are staying in this section of the ship, you're going to have a deluxe drink package included in your voyage as well. So no dealing with signing of bills or anything like that while on vacation. You can just enjoy yourself, have as many drinks as you want, and enjoy these very plush, different seating arrangements. I really love all of that, as well as your exclusive hot tubs. I know that's definitely a big draw for folks. You even have a small pool as well that's private just to you. So overall, really impressed with the Grove here on Star of the Seas. Now, the Star of the Seas premiered in 2025, and I was on board one of the very first sailings. So I was really excited to tour this whole vessel, first time on Icon class, and just absolutely blown away with the iteration of the world's largest cruise ship that Royal Caribbean has come out with. They absolutely have knocked it out of the park. And then downstairs on 16 and 17 is going to be Coastal Kitchen. So same section of the ship, just one or two decks lower. And then this is actually a two-story Coastal Kitchen. Very expansive space, trying to fit as many people as possible in here while still remaining exclusive. And you have this amazing interior view of the Aquadome. You actually watch the full performance from in here. Really incredible stuff. You have a bar in here as well. Great place to hang out, not during meal times, and then during meals, you can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner in here and never visit the other parts of the ship. Now moving aft, we're going to start our big tour here at the sports court. This is located above Thrill Island, basically in the area of all the fun adrenaline activities. I was incredibly impressed walking in here because this is a full-size basketball court. Of course, can fit pickleball, lots of pickleball art on the walls. So this ship was definitely built in the pickleball era. Even some stadium seating to be able to watch your friends and family play or compete in the various activities that happen up here. So this is going to be one of the highest places on the ship that you can enjoy publicly. It's going to be close to that Adrenaline Peak rock wall, and you have a great view of the Category 6 water park, which features 6 water slides, and we will get to that in just a bit. But right outside of the sports court, back to the elevator banks on the other side of the ship, on the starboard side, is going to be Cloud 17. And I found it pretty funny that it was called Cloud 17 because upon exiting the elevator banks, I was greeted with a cloud of smoke, because this is a big smoking area on board. So Cloud 17 is supposed to be relaxing, but just know there's a smoking area over here, so I would kind of avoid those elevator banks if you are sensitive to smoke or just hate that smell. But you can take the stairs up from deck 16 and enjoy basically what is normally the above pool deck. Usually has the jogging track, but not on the Icon class, not on Star of the Seas. This is just a nice walking deck, basically half a deck here. This is going to lead us back forward to the suite neighborhood. But this is a great place to grab one of those sun loungers away from the main pools, because those are going to get inundated pretty quickly early in the morning on those sea days. So you might be able to find a place to just enjoy the sun, read a book right here on Cloud 17. You also have one of 3 locations for the Lime and Coconut Bar. And this awesome concept for a pool bar has just expanded and expanded each new ship and each new amplification from Royal Caribbean. So there's 3 of them on board. They each have sort of a separate menu. You're gonna find a lot of the similar favorites like painkillers and mojitos and all that stuff here at the bar. But then there's even a frozen bar concept for lime and coconut with all alcoholic and non-alcoholic frozen drinks, which is pretty cool. The Cloud 17 pool is another favorite. It's very small, but it's cool because it's got this infinity edge right up against the edge of the ship. So that's a popular spot, and I think something that's not really found by a lot of passengers because the focus is the pool decks below. Now you'll notice there's an absolute grand canyon between deck 17 and the other side of the ship, and that's because this goes all the way down to Central Park, which features real live plants, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Now we're gonna go explore deck 16, which has a whole bunch of other activities here. Pretty expansive, massive decks here on Star of the Seas. I just was blown away every single day. I did this full tour, little inside baseball here, and was finding new stuff that I missed throughout the cruise because there's just so many nooks and crannies here that they have just filled with fun things to do, see, and shop, of course. So the Swim and Tonic Bar is the first, well really second swim up bar at sea because Icon of the Seas premiered it. But this is a really cool swim up bar on a cruise ship. It's gonna be adults only now. They've recently redone the concept of this and made it fully adults only, so that's pretty fun. And then outside of that, there's gonna be a number of cabanas that you can rent on port days and at sea days. Port days are always gonna be a little bit cheaper on Royal Caribbean, so just keep that in mind. But a lot of sun loungers, a lot of loungers in the pool as well. And then you got a DJ spinning some fun beats right there to the left. Towel stand to the left as well. One thing I didn't realize before stepping on board Star of the Seas is they actually have a dry slide between deck 16 and 15. It's basically just self-serve. You can go at any point in time that it's open. And the nice little green light there gives you the green light to slide on down safely. So that's pretty fun for the kids and the kids at heart. Here is one of the other lime and coconuts on board. So this is gonna be the frozen drink bar that I was mentioning earlier. And then the other lime and coconut is gonna be one more deck below that we'll get to in just a second. In this section of deck 16, there's a small stage. It's playing a lot of Caribbean music on my voyage. Loved that. And then lots of deck chairs around here, but they were setting up for something different here during the time that I was shooting this. And then some more cabanas as well. So now we're entering Thrill Island, and this is going to be the high energy activity section of the ship. You're going to have the Crown's Edge that you see right here. You have the Royal Caribbean logo that you actually walk and zip line around. They have a plank that drops out from beneath you, and you see the ocean as you fall, hopefully not to your death. I had a chance to do this, and it was an absolutely incredible experience. It is an extra charge, but they do give you this very fun video to brag to people on social media. So that was fun to send to folks back home of how crazy it is that you're 154 feet above the ocean, plank drops out from under you, and you have a small little freefall moment and then zip line around and have this adventurous little experience on board. There's even a story that they've integrated into the Thrill Island concept, so that was really fun. I was surprised how much I actually enjoyed it. And it's $10 right now during embarkation day, or at least on our voyage, versus about $25 or so pre-voyage if you book it at a discount. So I do recommend doing that. But right next to that is Adrenaline Peak, and this is basically an iteration of the very famous rock walls that put Royal Caribbean, I think, on the map for everyone. It definitely put it on the map for me as a teenager obsessed with rock climbing. So this one, a little bit more unique looking. I really love all the different routes. So you can definitely participate in that. Lots of different sessions throughout the voyage and competitions for speed climbing. But next to that is Base Camp, again with the theme of Thrill Island. I loved the theme that they brought in through all of the different spaces here. And this is a now complimentary food option. They got some delicious pretzel bites and a very famous smash burger that I think everyone is starting to figure out is one of the best food items on board. They of course have a bar as well with its own bespoke menu too, so definitely check that out. And then right next to the base camp is going to be Deserted, which is an extra charge ice cream and shake shop. You actually get alcoholic shakes in here as well, so definitely don't miss that. And then continuing aft is the Lost Dunes 9-hole golf course. So you have a lot of fun, inventive holes. They've definitely taken this concept to the next level on the Icon class. You have some really inventive holes and it's very on theme. So I really loved being able to play a few rounds, practice my putting. So very fun spot here on board for everyone. And of course they have activities like mini golf competitions on board. Fun spot. It can get a little hot, I will say, at least when I was sailing, so just keep that in mind. And there's also an alternate entrance to the sports court that we toured earlier. And here we are going to enter a new neighborhood. This is called the Hideaway, and I think that this concept absolutely blew me out of the water. This is essentially an adults-only oasis that's very hard to get to for the rest of the ship, so they've made this exclusive feeling, which is very hard to do on a cruise ship. You have to take stairs down, you have this infinity pool that does get a little busy, you have your own bar, you have a bunch of sun loungers, your own hot tubs, lots of hot tubs on Star of the Seas. But the views from here on sea days and when you're in Coco Cay, however you want to say it, I don't really care, absolutely blew me away. So you take a small set of stairs and you'll arrive at the two pretty oversized hot tubs, and then you walk down a longer set of staircases, and that brings you to the Hideaway pool, which is the ship's infinity pool. This is used in all sorts of marketing, so this is going to be a popular spot for 18 and up. You have some fun stadium seating for the sun loungers that overlooks the infinity pool as well. And then of course the Hideaway bar, which has its own menu. I feel like you really do have to understand that this bar exists to find it, but a lot of tables and bar seating back here to enjoy just your sail away. I think this is an excellent sail away location, just enjoying the ship and watching the island in the distance as you move on to the next stop on your vacation. And you got a great view of Surfside down below, which we will tour in just a bit. But that is the Hideaway. I do recommend anyone who is eligible to enjoy their vacation here to go check it out. Just a really fun time. So now we'll make our way back upstairs and then continue our tour of Thrill Island. But this is the way to access Hideaway, so I did want to break off and cover that before we start making our way forward on the ship again. But you have some great views of the Category 6 water park. Two different water slide towers, the family water slides over on the left, and then the Thrill water slides over on the right. The Thrill Tower is going to feature three different water slides. The Frightening Bolt, which is a drop slide, single person, pretty intense, and then two racing mat slides, the Storm Chasers, and they are the longest mat slides at sea. Great views as you wait in line over the Hideaway and the aft of the ship. The lines could get quite long. It didn't seem too long on our voyage, but I imagine on a 7-day voyage on a sea day, you could definitely see 45 minutes to an hour for these slides. But you do have a good view of the Flowrider as well, so this is going to be another feature, a very famous feature of Royal Caribbean now. They premiered with the Freedom class of ships and have expanded to the Voyager class as well as Oasis class and now Icon class and Quantum class. Can't forget about Quantum class, but really fun activity here. Get in line early. Lines can get quite long. You can book a private session. They have stand-up sessions as well that are included in the voyage if you're good at surfing already. But this will take us over to the family raft tower on Thrill Island. And so these are going to feature three different slides. The first is the yellow slide. It's called the pressure drop, and it's basically a baby straight down drop. So a good kind of middle ground water slide, not too long, pretty threatening for the younger kids, I think, and even some adults. And then you're going to have two raft slides that you can ride with multiple people. The pink slide is Hurricane Hunter, and it basically does some pretty fun twists and turns, but my favorite slide of all of them is the Storm Surge, and it actually has a half pipe moment in it that launches people basically over the edge of the ship. Very thrilling and a big crowd pleaser, so I think this is the most popular of all of the slides. So anyway, lots of capacity for water slides here. All the lines can of course get long on those sea days, but do enjoy the Category 6 water park here on Thrill Island, a very unique feature of Star of the Seas. Now we're going to head down to Deck 15, but I do want to mention if you're thinking about planning a voyage on Star of the Seas, let me plan it for you. I run a travel agency here at Jackson Jet Setting, and I can plan your cruise vacation for you, taking all the advice from all my voyages and bringing it to you to make sure that you have an amazing time away from home. You can reach out to us at jacksonjetsetting.com/book to receive a free quote. So Deck 15 is going to be the main pool deck on board Star of the Seas. This is the Royal Bay pool. This is the largest pool at sea, of course, with Icon of the Seas kind of being tied. Lots of shade in this section of the ship. I like that the deck above kind of provided that, and so if you wanted to sit on a lounge chair and enjoy the outdoors but not get absolutely roasted on your itinerary, this is a good spot to enjoy that. This leads us to the third and final lime and coconut, again a similar bar concept to the one on the deck above. So you have multiple limes and coconuts that you can enjoy at the various pools that you might choose during your voyage on Star of the Seas. And on the back side of the lime and coconut on this part of the deck is a sprinkles. So there's several sprinkles on this ship, and that's going to be your complimentary soft serve ice cream. One more hot tub here. Fun fact, the Star of the Seas has one more hot tub than Icon of the Seas because they realized in the design process that they had a little bit more water weight to play with. So one more hot tub on here. Star of the Seas, not truly identical to Icon of the Seas. They always try and make a few adjustments for the next iteration of ship. And here we enter probably my favorite food of the entire ship. This is the Aquadome market, and there are 5 food concepts in here, all complimentary. You have a crepe stand, you have Thai food, you have barbecue, a Mediterranean feta stand, and then La Conchinita, which is going to have delicious empanadas and Cuban sandwiches. So a lot of different varied food options here. I never found it to be all that busy, which is surprising to me. So it's going to be maybe a different option than the Windjammer that we will definitely explore in just a minute. But overall, very impressed with the Aquadome market. It's a completely free concept, so enjoy that. And this is located right outside the Aquadome. This is where all of the water shows are going to be featured on board. So instead of after the ship on the Oasis class, it's going to be very front and center. It's going to be indoors, so away from the elements, and there are a lot of fun features in this area. One thing is the Royal Bling Shop, and you can buy a chalice for $100,000 that gets you a free drink package for life on every Royal Caribbean voyage henceforth. So let me know in the comments if you have thought or have already purchased that, and let me know if you'll buy me one. On the other side of the Aqua Theater is going to be Hooked, which is a pretty famous concept on board Royal Caribbean ships. It's going to be the seafood restaurant. You're going to get some great oysters, surf and turf, lobster, that sort of thing. It's also where the ship's celebration and chef's tables are. So if you want a private dining experience, celebration tables, a new concept on Icon class ships, and they brought that over to Star of the Seas. And then the chef's table being available, I think, on every Royal Caribbean ship, but a very nice experience over there. Basically a private room inside Hooked. And then this leads into the Overlook, which is, I think, my favorite section of this ship in general. You have the Overlook bar and then the Rye and Bean bar, which is going to be an espresso martini bar and also just pure coffee bar. So a lot of fun options in there. Definitely found myself hanging out in there a lot on my one voyage on Star of the Seas. But outside of the Aquadome Theater, on the port side of the vessel, walking aft, you'll find table tennis and then lots more sun loungers in the shade here. You'll find yet another whirlpool as well. And then to the left is an extension of that lime and coconut bar. Yet another pool, the Cove Pool, is located right here. Has a small infinity edge to it, so a pretty fun spot to hang out on board. Very nice shade action going on. Of course, you got lifeguards to keep everyone safe. And you have good views across the way of the Royal Bay Pool. And walking away from the Cove Pool is another food option on this deck. It's El Loco Fresh, the famous Mexican restaurant on board. Delicious Mexican food. I really find the food quality to be excellent here. And then you have Cantina Fresca, which is going to be margaritas and things like that, very themed to Mexico. There's a fresh salsa bar as well, so don't miss out on that. And then that'll lead up to deck 16 again, so you have a little secret El Loco Fresh entrance and exit over here on this side of the vessel. Now we finally made it to one of the more famous spots on board here, interior deck 15 aft. This is going to be the Windjammer Marketplace. And as you enter, of course, they encourage you to wash your hands with the washy guys and gals. On our voyage, it being kind of a special sailing, they had a nice setup of Star of the Seas with some ice sculptures. Probably won't be there if you're watching this video for later voyages, but lots of different stations here, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, different theme nights on longer voyages, so you can check all this out, and I will join you once we exit Windjammer. So now moving to deck 14 forward is going to be the Vitality at Sea Spa. And this is going to be a really nice spot to relax because they offer massages, all sorts of treatments. They have a dry bar, they have a men's salon as well. And then they have a pretty famous spot on board as well, which is the Thermal Suite. So the Thermal Suite is great for folks that want to enjoy a steam room, a sauna, some of those heated stone loungers, and read a book inside. There are a lot of options here for folks. You can buy a pass for your entire cruise. You can come and go. It's going to be mixed gender, so you can enjoy that with a spouse or a friend. It doesn't really matter. So that's available right here on deck 14. The spa itself actually extends down into deck 12, no deck 13 on this ship, and a couple more treatment rooms, different options available for everyone. So I do recommend attending the spa raffle on board to try and get a discount. And if you just do the tour, typically they're going to send you some sort of offer during your voyage, so wait out for those. Vitality Cafe, they kept on this ship, which I really love. It's a secret spot for coffee in the morning. They do some really good smoothies as well. And this is going to bring us down to deck 8, which is going to be where the Central Park on board is. And this is a very famous area on the ship, pioneered by the Oasis class. 15,000 real plants, if I remember correctly, and lots of different specialty restaurant options, some complimentary restaurant options, shopping, bars. Really cool spot. They pipe in bird noise to make you feel like you are really in a real park. But I do love all the greenery here. A new concept for me on the Icon class on Star of the Seas is Lou's, which is a jazz club. So if you enjoy that type of music, that will be available here pretty much every evening, I believe. It's going to have a similar menu to some of the other music venues on board, but a really fun spot. I really like the look of this on the inside. Making our way away from Lou's, we see the rest of the park here. We see one of the most famous parts of Star of the Seas, the Pearl, and we're going to go explore that in just a second. But we're basically going to walk down Central Park and walk up the other side and make sure we don't miss anything here. Again, if you love ship tours, if you love cruise content, please consider subscribing to the channel or at least liking this video. It really helps me out. The Royal Promenade, we're going to explore in just a minute, but if you do want to access that directly from Central Park, you can do so right here. And this is going to be right next to the Living Wall, which are all real plants stretching several decks up. You notice that there are some infinite balconies as well as regular balconies that overlook Central Park, so you can actually get a room that's interior facing that still has that fresh air, so that's a good option for folks looking to save a little bit of money when stepping on board. Izumi, a very popular Japanese style restaurant on board, and they brought Izumi in the park to Star of the Seas, so there's going to be a to-go window with some sushi options, some bubble waffles, ice cream, that sort of thing. And then Izumi is going to have your hibachi and also your pure just sushi restaurant menu. So a very, very delicious option on board. I had a chance to partake in the hibachi, one of my favorite things to do on a cruise. Lots of fun Japanese theming throughout as well. Now we've reached the end of Central Park, but if you step into the doors here, center part of the ship, you'll find the Lincoln Park Supper Club. And this is going to be the most exclusive venue on board. I had a chance to dine here, look for the full review on the channel, but this is a speakeasy, Chicago-themed restaurant. I do think if it's in your budget, it's worth doing. But otherwise, another great option is going to be Chops Grill. Chops, of course, the steakhouse on pretty much every Royal Caribbean ship, and very upscale feel on Star of the Seas. Can you believe that we're only halfway through this tour? There's still so much more to see. Star of the Seas absolutely blew my mind, just how large this ship actually was. But Chops, gonna be your great steak option on board. Right outside of that is the Trellis Bar, and this is on Oasis class as well. But I like this bar because it's outdoors. You can be amongst the plants. They have a nice kind of spa menu, but still with alcohol. So a great spot outdoors to enjoy some plant life and even some harp music at certain points during the voyage. I was walking by and heard some harp, and it was live, which is pretty cool. Now we're going to enter the Park Cafe, a complimentary option on board for everyone, open for breakfast, secret place to grab breakfast without some of the craziness that the Windjammer is. You're going to fruit cups, bagels in the morning, you have a salad bar during lunch and dinner times. The Kummelwick, famous Royal Caribbean roast beef sandwich, you can grab that in here as well pretty much every day. and you're gonna have a few free complimentary drink stations as well. And right next to that is Bubbles, which is the champagne bar on board. I love that it's like kind of a walk up and you can enjoy champagne walking through the park. So I love this concept, really brings it to life, this whole park. And then you're gonna have a couple of the high-end shops on board. You're gonna be able to buy your Omega watches, Rolexes, that sort of thing here, as well as those high-end bags, different jewelry. So if you're into that, you can enjoy that here at Regalia. And that brings us back to where we began our tour at Central Park. And on the opposite side of the elevator banks, there are 2 elevator banks on board, by the way, just so you know. You will find Surfside, which is where they have tried to lure every single kid on board to hang out here and never want to leave. So on deck 8, there's just a small section here with some sunglasses and things for sale, swimsuits. You can take the stairs, but the more fun option is taking the slide down one deck. And so deck 7 is going to feature most of Surfside. So you can actually get a room overlooking Surfside as well. This is actually where my room was. I was assigned it based on a guaranteed situation. So you can look for my thoughts in my review of that location. Surfside Eatery is actually another buffet concept that they brought to this area. So a lot of kid-friendly options on the buffet in this section. Stuff for adults, of course, as well. But this is just another option that families don't even need to leave this section during their voyage, because you'll see lots of activities for the kids and they can grab food and never have to go to all the other pools and quote unquote ruin some adult's vacation that doesn't have a kid on board. Arcade here, plenty of fun there. A full carousel, which was made famous on the Oasis class ships. A little bit more fun of a design here, I think, with some flamingos and things that you can ride. Sugar Beach, which is the ship's candy shop. So you can get your upcharge ice creams and different sugar at Sugar Beach. Fun little playscape there for the kids. Another Sprinkles, which is complimentary. And then Surfside Bites, which is going to have a number of different kids-friendly to-go items. Sort of like a boardwalk, basically a boardwalk on board. And I just absolutely love this concept. They've really taken the boardwalk concept on Oasis class and just made this even more fun and bright. So I do give them full kudos. I think they knocked this section out of the park. They made some improvements from Icon as well, making the pool in this section a lot more family friendly. So I think this is a home run for Royal Caribbean. Pier 7 is an extra charge restaurant. It's very, very reasonably priced compared to the other restaurants on board. It's going to have a lot of kid-friendly options, but also Pokeballs. So this was one attraction for me. I managed to try this out on my voyage. Very delicious food indeed. And then you're going to have a few different water activities for the kids. Nearby is a Lemon Post bar, so you can have non-alcoholic cocktails for the kids and cocktails for the adults. Lots of homemade lemonades here. And this is going to be located right next to Splashaway Bay and Baby Bay, as well as the Water's Edge pool. So lots of options here. The adults can hang out in the slightly deeper pool while the kids play in Splashaway Bay. Plenty of lifeguards around, making this nice and safe. But a lot of fun here in Surfside, big family-friendly destination on board. Before we make our way to Deck 6, I did want to feature the arcade on the inside. So plenty of games, plenty of fun diversions for young and old here. But to exit Surfside, we'll step down the stairs, see this cool flamingo on top of a watermelon, and enter Deck 6, which is going to feature a few more kid-friendly activities. Again, all the kid-friendly activities kind of in the same area of the ship. But Adventure Ocean is going to be the Star of the Seas' kids club. Number of different options available depending on your child's age. Basically 6 months up until 13 years old. So they'll have different rooms and concepts based on your child's age, kind of trying to separate the different age groups to make sure that the activities are interesting to them. They do have a nursery on board, which is an extra charge. They have a full theater here that they do different shows, puppet shows, blacklight shows. Really cool stuff. I really liked this whole area. It seemed like a very large part of the ship. They dedicated a lot of space here. Families looking for this, of course, on board. Lots of video games for these slightly older kids to entertain them as well. We know that that's what they're looking for. And much like the adults, there's going to be a full schedule of activities here for every age group, so you can consult that and kind of plan your child's day, and also then plan your day around what your kid's going to be interested in while they are here in the kids club, being fully entertained by the full accredited staff here. So a very fun spot here for the kids. I think Royal definitely thought a lot about this section of the ship and basically how to compartmentalize the kids, make sure that they never want to leave this area. And I think they did a really good job because I didn't notice that many kids on my voyage. You know, this is a ship with over 10,000 people, including crew, and they've just done an amazing job of basically guiding you to what part of the ship you're probably going to want to hang out in the full time and then never wanting to leave. So outside of Adventure Ocean is going to be the Park West Gallery. Don't buy their art. I don't think you should buy their art. Not a good deal. And then a couple of other different shopping options. You're going to have some sunglasses, you're going to have some bags, a Vineyard Vines section with some Star of the Seas merchandise, which I thought was pretty cool. And then Playmakers, which is the sports bar on board. They have a small arcade, they have some pool tables as well, so a very fun venue to enjoy a sporting event or just enjoy a beer. They have their own menu that's an extra charge as well, but if you have the unlimited dining package, you actually get some credit to use in here. Their onion rings are pretty special, so do recommend checking that out. And then hidden in the corner here is Social 20. This is the teen club on board, so they're going to have their own slate of activities as well. Got a cool graffiti theme as you walk in. So a fun option for that age group as well, and again, kind of near the Surfside area. And this is located right next to the entrance to Absolute Zero, which is the ship's ice skating rink venue. It's also where they're going to feature laser tag during sea days. The current show on board is called Soul, and I got to watch it. It's amazing. And now we finally made it to the Royal Promenade, which on Star of the Seas is 2 levels. So you're going to have a number of different bars and restaurants on the top level here. We'll start at these giant dice and head to the left here. Boleros is going to be the Latin dance club in the evenings. Lots of fun Latin music. It's always hopping. Got a cool mojito bar over here to the left. Cool menu, special just to this venue. And the big focal point of the Royal Promenade on the Icon class ships is the Pearl, but behind the Pearl is going to be the Pearl Cafe, and this is going to act as kind of the cafe promenade on board. You're going to have coffees in the morning, you're going to have these awesome windows with excellent sea views when you're away from port, and you're going to have complimentary food options as well. Lots of different food options that I've seen on any Royal Caribbean ship. So this is a very popular spot, people absolutely loved it. Cool hanging out at the Pearl too, so definitely check out the Pearl Cafe on board. Right next to the Pearl Cafe is going to be the Attic, the ship's comedy venue, and then Zoltar is going to welcome you as you walk in. One thing I thought was kind of interesting is that they actually don't have a bar in the Attic on the Icon class ships on Star of the Seas. I think that's maybe an intentional decision, make sure that people weren't disturbing the shows and stuff, but not really sure. But very, very fun venue. Definitely go and see the comedians on board. Dueling Pianos ended up being a very fun venue. I love that the music spills out into the promenade. Lots of noise being made here, lots of raucous singing along with the different pianos. I love a good dueling piano bar, so I think this is a home run idea from Royal Caribbean to include this on Star of the Seas. So definitely get your spots early for those shows. Several different sets throughout the evening, and it goes pretty late. And from here you can get a great view of the whole Royal Promenade, ceiling changing colors at different times. The balloon drop is all set up for embarkation day. I love a good balloon drop. The Royal Caribbean seems to do this on every voyage on these larger ships, just to bring the whole ship together, make this a big celebration. And we're going to walk through Giovanni's, which is one of my favorite concepts that Royal Caribbean does. It's the Italian restaurant on board. They have a wine bar here as well. You don't need a reservation for. They have a special menu a la carte, so you don't have to purchase a full giant Italian meal. You leave here absolutely stuffed. It's a really good value, I think, for the money on board. Right next to Giovanni's is one of my favorite venues, the Schooner Bar, which is found on every Royal Caribbean ship. It's got a nautical theme. They play trivia in here. They got great bourbon drinks, so I always end up in here a whole bunch on my voyages on Royal Caribbean. And then before we make our way down to the main floor of Royal Promenade, I do want to note that there are 2 escape rooms on board in the same area. So you have a diner and you have a record store. I did both. Well worth doing despite the extra price. And this is right next to the Crown Lounge, which is available for diamonds and above most voyages. And so this is going to be a special little lounge with some small plates, as well as a coffee machine. Probably the most important aspect of this for me, saving money on board by having an espresso option available to me pretty much 24/7. I do want to note as well that there is a jogging track on Deck 6, and this is how you get to the fitness center. Fitness center is very hidden on Star of the Seas, so if you're someone who's inclined to exercise on vacation, you can find it by exiting, getting on the jogging track, and following the signs. Now, it's definitely worth the journey because I feel like the fitness center on board Star of the Seas is the absolute largest fitness center that I've seen on any ship anywhere. This feels like an Equinox. They knocked this out of the park. If you're someone who likes to exercise and keep up with your routine on board, you're gonna be very thrilled. Nice high ceilings, plenty of machines, lots of treadmills, lots of options for everyone. It's actually 2 stories with spin studios and yoga studios on the floor above. So very, very impressed with this area. So I'll let you view the rest of the gym and look for your favorite machine, and I'll join you when we exit. So now we're heading downstairs to deck 5. This is going to be the main indoor floor. This is going to be the main floor of Royal Promenade. Lots of different things going on here. To the left here is guest services. Very busy at certain times of the voyage, especially on embarkation day. So try and get your stuff done there. I always end up having to go there for some reason or another during my voyage. Try and pick some off hours. It's open 24/7. Right next door to that is going to be Port Merchants. This is going to be your liquor store on board. Only open when you're at sea, but it's going to be tax-free. They have several high-end shopping windows here as well. And this is going to lead directly into the main dining room, which is 3 levels on board Star of the Seas, and was absolutely stunning. The main dining room is completely complimentary on board. So you can dine here for dinner every evening, and then it's going to be open at certain times of the day as well, depending if it's a sea day or a port day. Just consult your app, and they'll let you know when you can come in and what floor to come in on. Turning the opposite direction of the deck, you're going to have the Crown and Anchor desk as well as Next Cruise to the right, and then you're also going to have the Thorn and Thistle, which is the ship's pub. And so lots of different drink options here. You're also going to have darts, which I absolutely love that they had darts here. Very fun that they have that on board. I've only seen that on some of the smaller ships, so I'm glad that they have brought that to the Star of the Seas. Now, hidden behind the Pearl is going to be the photo desk as well as the shore excursions desk, and then a very fun area on both sides of the ship just to hang out outdoors. So they did bring some natural light into the Royal Promenade, which I think was missing from the Oasis class ships, so I do love that they did that. And then a number of different logo shops and jewelry shops here, of course, so you can get your Royal Caribbean merchandise here. Again, because they are duty-free, shops are only going to be open when the ship is at sea. So just keep that in mind. They're going to have events out into the promenade trying to lure you in with some sale items. So definitely peruse if you are interested. 1401 is going to be a fancy cocktail bar here as well. So they're going to have their own menu that's kind of invoking the history of Royal Caribbean. I thought the menu was really fun and designed in a fun way to kind of bring in the whole history of the company. It's been around for a long time at this point. But now we finally make it to, I think, one of the crowning achievements of this class of ship, especially Star of the Seas, and this is the Pearl. Now on Star of the Seas, the Pearl can change different colors. I saw it all sorts of colors throughout my voyage. I saw it pink most of the time, but they have these moving tiles on the center that are just mesmerizing. Big photo stop, so do not miss that. Of course, you have a Starbucks as well right next to it, very prominently located, so Royal Caribbean definitely got Starbucks to sign a big deal, I'm sure, for that. And then a couple other different shops. We walk down, the collection being some gently used handbags, some high-end handbags available here on the ship. And then Sorrento's, which is a very, very famous pizza spot on board pretty much every Royal Caribbean ship. You're going to have complimentary pizza until late, about 3 a.m., I believe, is when they close it down each evening. So you can get your cheese, pepperoni, and then some special pizzas that rotate. And that brings us over to Spotlight Karaoke, which is the dedicated karaoke bar on board. So if you're into singing karaoke, you are well taken care of here. Of course, there's going to be an Effie on board. I feel like Effie has just infiltrated the cruise industry. Find it on almost every ship now. And then Solera Beauty, which is going to be your makeups and things like that. The Royal Theatre, of course, hosting the big theatrical production on board. Back in the Future, the musical being the main draw. Do not miss that show. It's unbelievable what they've done on a cruise ship. But really nice little atrium here. And that's going to lead us down to the music hall, which is going to be on deck 3 and 2. And so this is going to be the ship's nightclub. It's going to be a big music venue. You're going to have your kind of bands going on here, nice and loud, different bars throughout. I really like this space. I felt like it was a very high-end feeling nightclub. It wasn't an afterthought. They know that people are coming on board to have a good time, so they give them the space to do that. It's going to be located right next to another loud section of the ship, and that is the ship's casino. Now, the ship's casino is one of the largest I've ever seen at sea, so I'll walk through as it was closed and just show you all the different options available. Plenty of table games, lots and lots of slot machines, a full casino bar, even have a high limit room available too, so I'll see you on the other side of the casino. To continue our tour, we're almost done. Now, I do want to know that they were very smart, and they have built escalators to bring you down to port, and there's 2 escalators that bring you up from where you exit the ship, and at the half level section is actually where the casino is, which is pretty funny. And down on deck 3 is going to be the conference center, as well as the lower main floor of the music hall, so again, trying to reduce that noise for the rest of the ship. I think they did a great job designing that. But overall, the medical center being the last stop on this tour. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments. I'll give you a like. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.